To begin a new whiteboard lesson, navigate on your smart's home screen and underneath your favorite zone, tap on Whiteboard. When you tap on the whiteboard tile, that will then create a brand new lesson. When you first open up Whiteboard, you'll notice at the bottom of your screen, you have the option to change your background. Scroll through your background options to be able to choose different textures with lined paper, graphing paper, brick, or different options to be able to change your background style. For today, I'm going to stick with white. To start using your smart whiteboard, you'll notice all of your tools are on the left-hand side of your whiteboard. Our first tool we're going to explore is your pen tool. Tap once to open up your options for that pen tool, and tap again to choose which pen style you would like. To begin with, we have our first style pen, which is a normal pen style. Our middle options allow us to choose the thickness of our pen. And our last setting that we can choose is to choose the color of our pen. In the lower right-hand corner of our pen colors, that will then open up a color wheel for us to choose customized colors. To start writing on your whiteboard, pick up the pen that comes with your whiteboard and start writing. To be able to erase any inking on your board, take your hand and place it flat on the surface to be able to create an eraser with the palm of your hand. Back to our pen tool, we'll notice at the top there is an option to enable finger inking. This would allow students or teachers to come up to the board and start writing without needing to use the pen. If you do not see that finger inking available, you will need to enable it in your settings. Navigate back to your home screen and in the lower left-hand corner, click on your settings gear. In your application settings, choose Smart Whiteboard. And under the other settings, make sure that Enable Finger Inking is toggled on. Once that's turned on, when you click onto the pen tool, you'll see at the top that you have an icon image of a finger. Go ahead and toggle that on. Then you'll be able to write using your finger without having to use the pen. In addition to a regular pen style, you also have a highlighter pen style. You have 4 different colors to choose from, and this will allow you to highlight specific words, letters, or phrases to make that stand out in your lesson. Your last pen tool that you have available is a handwriting recognition tool. When I tap on that tool and start writing a word, the board will then recognize my handwriting and snap my handwriting from written out and will convert it into a text option. Your next tool over is your Selector Tool. Think of that as your mouse tool. This will allow you to select on objects on your whiteboard to be able to pull up additional object properties. I'm going to select that tool and drag so that I can highlight my sentence. Once I have an object, text, or inking selected, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner, you have a blue circle with a down arrow. When you tap on that down arrow, you will then have the ability to see some additional object properties. For inking, you're able to duplicate, you can delete that inking, or you can lock it in place. When I lock an item in place, that means when I come up to the board, or if I have a student coming up to the board, they will not be able to erase with their palm. That is now stuck in the background. With text, once I have that selected, I can click on that circled down arrow to open up some additional object properties. For objects or for text tools, I have an additional object property called Infinite Cloner. When I have that selected, that will then allow my students to come up to the board and pull from an image bank or from a word bank, so that now my word is infinitely cloned. If I'm wanting to delete all of those, I'll come back to that Selector tool, hold down on my board to highlight, click on the Object Properties menu and choose Delete. Our next tool down is our Add Content search bar. Within our Add Content, we're able to search the web to be able to add in images or videos to our lesson. Type in your search term to be able to search through images and videos to add to your lesson. For images to be able to add to your whiteboard lesson, tap on the image, and that will then be pushed out into your lesson. Now this image is a little bit too big for my board, so I'm going to go ahead and tap on it and hold down on the blue circle in the lower right-hand corner to crop it to make the image smaller to fit into my lesson. Again, when I select that image, I'm going to see I have that blue circle to open up some object properties where I can duplicate, delete, infinitely clone, or lock that image into place. Back on my Add Content search, I can also tap on the tab for videos that I would like to add into my lesson. With videos, I can scroll through to be able to find what I would like to add in. To be able to preview your video, tap on the blue circle play button to preview the video. To be able to add the video to your lesson, tap on the image of that video preview. Once you have the video added to your lesson, to be able to play your video, tap on the video play icon. That will then make your video full screen on your smart panel. Now this page is getting a little bit cluttered, so I'd like to add a fresh new blank page to my whiteboard lesson. In the lower left-hand corner, I'll see that I have a square plus icon. Tap on that square plus icon to be able to pop out your options to be able to add additional pages to your whiteboard lesson. To add a blank whiteboard, tap in the upper left-hand corner, Whiteboard. That will add a fresh new blank page. Our next tool down on our toolbar is our Widgets icon page. Widgets are interactive tools that teachers can add directly into their whiteboard lesson. To be able to add a widget to your whiteboard lesson, simply tap on the widget and that will then add it to your whiteboard lesson. With widgets, you do have the options to customize and save your customized widgets. Tap just outside of your widget to be able to bring up your object properties menu. Tap on the circle down arrow and choose settings to be able to further customize your widgets. In this example, I would like to be able to add my students' names. In the add text field, I'm going to go ahead and tap in there and add my students' names. For this particular spinner widget, I'm also able to add additional pie slices. My top bar here allows me to tap on the plus sign to add additional pie slices. I can then scroll down to be able to add my student names. Once you've completed all of your edits on your widget, go ahead and tap in the upper left-hand corner the back button to be brought back to your widget. With this interactive tool, I can now tap on that widget and it will then randomize and spin to land on my students' names. Now, since I'm logged in on my panel, I'm also able to save my customized widgets to my library. Tap just outside of your widget to access your object properties menu. Now that I have customized this widget, I now have the option to add it to my widgets library. Now when I tap back over on the left-hand side to open up my widgets window, I now have my customized widget available. This is a great option to be able to create randomized spinner with student names, to have discussion topics, homework problems that will be checked, and to be able to customize and save them into my library is going to save me a lot of time. In the lower left-hand corner, we're going to go ahead and tap on the square plus icon to open back up our options to be able to add additional pages to our lesson. So far, we've seen in the upper left-hand corner how we can add a new blank whiteboard, but we'll see at the very top, we have two other options to make our lessons more engaging for students to join from their own devices. Our first option to add in is called a shout it out activity. With a shout it out activity, students will join from their devices to be able to respond to a prompt. It's a great opportunity to utilize during an entrance ticket to spark student collaboration and conversation, or to get a temperature check to be able to check for understanding for students during the lesson. Once you've added a shout it out page to your lesson, tap on Start for Class. Students will then need to have their own devices connected to a Wi-Fi network. In the upper left-hand corner underneath your profile icon, you'll see you have a 2 people icon with the number 0 next to it. Tap on that to be able to open up additional directions and see your student list. Once you tap on that icon, directions will appear for students to navigate to hellosmart.com and type in your class code. Alternatively, students can scan the QR code located at the bottom. As students start to join your lesson, you'll notice on the left-hand side, your student list will populate. Once students have joined, in the upper left-hand corner, tap on Start Session to begin the Shout It Out activity. Once students start submitting their answers, you'll see that each student has a tile with their submitted answer. Teachers are able to move and group these tiles together to group like concepts. If you would like to enlarge a student response, tap on that tile to be able to expand it to take up. If you would like to enlarge and highlight one particular student's answer, go ahead and tap on their tile and that will then enlarge their answer. To be able to delete a student response, go ahead and hold down on that tile and drag it to the upper left-hand corner to the trash can icon. In a shouted out activity, you do have some additional tools on the left-hand side of your smartboard. Tap open the star icon to be able to select a game element. Buzzers will allow students to come up to the board to be able to tap on a buzzer to see who can buzz in first. Randomizer will allow you to pull a random name from a student list. And lastly, you have a timer for you to be able to embed a timer directly into the lesson activity. Back to our lower left-hand corner, we're going to come back to that square plus to be able to see additional pages that we can add to our whiteboard lesson. At the top next to shout it out, we have a whole class page. This is a great opportunity to be able to have students connect together and work all on the same whiteboard. Once you add the whole class page to your lesson, tap on the people icon in the upper left-hand corner for your students to be able to join your lesson. Again, students will navigate to hellosmart.com and join with your class code. Alternatively, they can again scan the QR code to be able to join the class. A whiteboard lesson activity for a whole class is a great opportunity for students to be able to collaborate together. Provide students with a prompt for them to be able to brainstorm and to be able to collaborate all on one whiteboard page. Once you've launched the whole class whiteboard, you'll notice in the upper left-hand corner, by default, everyone can edit this page. If you would like to first provide some prompts and directions for students, tap on that toggle in the upper left-hand corner to toggle off everyone can edit. This way, the page will be view only. The teacher can then provide prompts and directions, as well as expectations when students are working all in one page. Back to our square plus icon in the bottom left-hand corner, we're going to now navigate to some ready-made resources that are available. Within ready-made resources library, you have graphic organizers and manipulatives ready to be added as a page in your lesson. Scroll through to find the graphic organizer that you would like to add to your lesson and tap on that graphic organizer. That will now add it as a page into your lesson. Back to our square plus, we're now going to take a look at our Manipulatives tab. Within Manipulatives, teachers can add a manipulative page to their lesson. For each page you'll see at the bottom, you'll have a green image bank that all of these images are now infinitely cloned, making your lesson now interactive for students to be able to come up to the board and drag and drop onto this lesson activity. In our square plus icon, our last tab in our ready-made resources is external files. If you have external files that you would like to be able to bring in, tap on that icon to be able to bring in your own content to your lesson. Lastly, within our whiteboard, we'll see in the lower left-hand corner, we have an up arrow and a down arrow. By tapping on that up arrow or down arrow, we can navigate to our different pages within our lesson. The icon in between the up and down arrow will pop out our thumbnail view to be able to see all of our pages in our lesson. I can quickly navigate to my first page, my fourth page, fifth page by tapping on that thumbnail icon. On each thumbnail icon in the lower right-hand corner, I have 3 dots with some additional options for that page. I can delete the page, change the background, or change my page size. One of the best features about our whiteboard lesson is it automatically will be saved. When I come back to my home screen, I'll see that in my recents file, I now have my lesson that I was just working on, so I can quickly open that back up. For additional, please contact our professional development team at pd@bloom.com.